Welcome to Taking Action. I'm Chris Colombo. It was an exciting week in week one in the NFL. I told you to be careful, and you had to be. There was a lot of surprises. We went 3 for 3. We got Gary Dourdan coming on. He was on the top TV show for 9 years, and I'm going to tell you a crazy story about myself and silverback gorillas. Welcome to Taking Action. We got some interesting stuff to talk about. Last week in the NFL, I went 3 for 3. It is not easy to handicap the first 3 weeks of football, as I said. My old habits and my common sense and understanding of the game, the coaching, and the players that come to play came into play. I told you to stay away from Kansas City. I hope you listened. Detroit beat them outright. I said Browns all day. Yes, Browns were all day, and there was never any fear of that game. I picked the Jets. Everybody got nervous when Aaron Rodgers were out. I was not nervous. I feel bad for Aaron. I wish him back a speedy recovery. He's been one of the greatest Warriors to play this game. When he was out, I was concerned maybe he should have taped himself to get back in if it was a sprained ankle, but it's a severed Achilles, and that's a serious injury. We hope to see him back next year. We're going to talk about that more later on. I wasn't concerned in the Jet game. As I said, in handicapping, if you could win 2 out of the 3, offense, defense, special teams, you could win the game. They had defense and they had special teams. They won the game. That's the way I predicted it. That's the way it went without Aaron Rodgers. But he inspired that team, and I think he still inspires that team. I think he's putting his heart and his soul into that team. I listened when the guy ran back on special teams. Those of you not familiar with special teams, that is a deep team, and they have players waiting to play. He's a groomed receiver. He said they practiced that play. He followed his blockers explicitly, and he said Aaron Rodgers had taught him. Aaron Rodgers will be an asset to that team on the bench or on the field. Let's hope that they can continue until he gets healthy, because I do believe they have a contender. That's a team that wants to win, and that is a ferocious defense, and I believe that Dallas has their hands full with that defense and that special teams. Let's just hope that that knock doesn't hurt them. There's a story that people were interested in telling. One of the things that kind of made people think I was a little crazy, but I'm an animal person. I have peacocks here. I have my llama just passed away. I have ponies, horses, a goat, a sheep, etc. Koi, a natural ecosystem. But my spirit animal, my childhood idol was always King Kong. So I have silverback gorillas, life size and bronze, that were given to me by my partner. One seems to resemble me in my build, so I like gorillas. So when I was awaiting sentencing after the feds, after they took me to trial and I was hung 11-1, they said they were going to take me back after a 7-month trial, and after 5 years waiting to face the rest of my life in jail. They announced they would not take me back, and my judge allowed me to go to California. She got a little upset with me because she found out I was doing house arrest too, which said I made a mockery of the judicial system. I still say I exposed a mockery of the judicial system. Part of my retirement is my judge was fair and gave me a fair trial, but she was tough. And that's why I gave up my illegal activity, because she saved the life and she's responsible for that karma. So I do the best I can. So anyway, I'm waiting to get sentenced. I put it under an over-out on my sentencing, naturally, because I thought it was interesting. I put out 2 years. She gave me less, but I thought that was a fair assessment. I could have got up to 56 months on the gambling charge in and of itself. That should have been a misdemeanor. But they were very, very aggravated with me for making house arrest. They thought I was making fun of them, and they made me a communications threat. They also stopped it because I said I was poisoning the jury pool. And later on the shows to come will be John Albert, multiple Academy Award winner in every area of film and TV, and I think I can't count how many Emmys. And one of the finest journalists that had put him on the CIA hit list. He will be joining us on the show at another time. So the silverback story is I go to L.A. and I'm meeting with some people, Craig Pelagian, that had Orange County Choppers, and a few other people, because they were trying to figure out a show for me. The time in jail took the heat off of me as far as the rumble in Hollywood, so that they got effectively what they wanted. They hurt that career. So I took my kids to the the LA Zoo. And I was supposed to meet with a few producers and some studio execs. And while I was at the zoo, I had a guy with me. It was like, at the time, as assistant, I was hurting in the Lyme. I wasn't allowed to use the phone. So I could call you if he called you. I'd talk to him. He could talk to you, but I couldn't talk on the phone, have a computer. It was a tough way to live. And when your house becomes a prison, it's not as good, but it worked because to fight a case from prison is bad. Otherwise, I would have stayed in. And being that I beat the case, they would have had to give me credit for my next case, but there was no next one. That was all in the past. So Elvis is singing to the gorillas, and the gorillas are responding to it. And it wasn't that far of a pit. And this had happened to me once before in the Catskill Game Farm. I used to go down the moat and play with the albino rhino when they closed. I tried to get him here and put him in a 3-acre place, which is perfect, a lot of water for him. And Mark Echo outbid me for him, but I would have had him here. And you're going to see some pictures of some dangerous animals later on and stuff like that to take to me and my friends. There'll be 2 pictures later on. A friend of mine that's carrying around a giant snapping turtle, which are very difficult. They're very, very, very treacherous animals and vicious. So while I was there, I got a little annoyed that the people were annoying us because he was singing to the gorillas. They were enjoying it. So I managed somehow to get in the moat and start playing with the silverback gorillas. At that point, it wreaked havoc. They come with 50 calibers, tranquilizer guns, whatever. And I come out of the pit. I stood in front of the gorillas. I said, this is not really what you should do. They're very nice gorillas. And they don't bother anybody. It doesn't bother them. And we get along well. Anyway, it took a little bit of talking and conniving and maneuvering to talk out of getting arrested for it. They found my sense of humor, saw that I was animal friendly, and they just asked me never to come back to the LA Zoo again. But that's a true story, and the silverback gorillas are my friends. I like them. And a matter of fact, they're my spirit animal, and that was an interesting story I thought I might share with you, and it kind of hailed me as being crazy. But if you understand animals, an animal is never going to turn on you but it acts to its natural instincts. So you're not going to talk a cobra into not biting you. But a gorilla is strong, it's family-oriented, it's protective of its young, and it doesn't bother anything that doesn't bother it. And in the fashion of King Kong, and not only that, I was getting sentenced. So what was the difference? Who cared? That's my animal story, which you'll get pictures of some of them. I've trained them. I trained German Shepherds. I had one that found, and he ended up dying from complications of 9/11. He found 3 people. 2 wasn't in time. 1 was, and he died from complications. He was a fine animal and a hero. And the one I'm training now and have trained is sensitive towards. He will recognize domestic violence or sex offenders. He just automatically senses them. They have this natural thing, and he's in that direction. Matter of fact, when he escapes, he's always at a house that someone's fighting, or we find them an elderly playing with them in their houses. And because of the size of them, they call SWAT teams on him, but he's very, very friendly. And he's smart in everything except what I want him to do. But in those areas he takes, they're very talented animals. I train animals. I train a lot of things. And I learned most of it from animals. But one of my fondest memories before sentencing was being able to play with the silverback gorillas, face to face, which is something I always wanted to do. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. That helps people find us. And it also helps us send you information on future shows, and you'll be able to give us more of what you want from me, because I am here for you. Good afternoon, Gary. Welcome to Taking Action with Chris Colombo. I'm excited to have you here. You're probably one of my favorite actors of all time on one of my favorite shows.
Wow. No, you're just saying it, man. Thank you very much. It's
not a compliment, a fact. It's nice to see that I grew up with you, similar age. I don't want to tell you I'm a little older. And my children know who you are and appreciate you and watch your show. And
super.
Gary, how does it feel to be on for I don't know, a lot of years of a very, very, very entertaining character, which I know took a lot of research to be that character, because you played a degenerate gambler really, really well.
Yeah.
Really,
I I had a lot of good. There was a lot of guys around, including Anthony Zeiker, that is a gambler, and he grew up in Vegas. Who wrote the character? That they helped me out a lot, and especially we would go to Vegas to actually shoot sometimes, and I got a lot of tips from a lot of guys.
I remember the old Vegas, like Arnold Rothstein and the Tangiers. You know, we hang around the dunes. We kind of had the same problem there. The old Vegas was really nice. What did you think of the new Vegas? It was more geared towards children and stuff like that.
It is, it's like Disney World now.
Yeah.
And it's catered to the families. And I understand that, of course. I mean, the best thing about Vegas now, I think, is the shows that you can take your family and friends to see. And I got 2 friends there now that are visiting from France. And they all just really want to go to Vegas because of the shows. But the old Vegas had a grit, and it's sort of like, I'm a New Yorker. I was born in Philly, and
I love Philly, by the way.
It's a good place to be from,
Food is good too,
and the food is great. Come on, you got your cheesesteaks, and it's got a great Italian food in Philly. Yeah, Pat's cheesesteaks.
Tony Loke's sandwich.
Yeah, the best sandwiches on the East Coast, I would say.
Yes, last 30 years running.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yes, positive. And I think when people look at New York now, it's the same thing as Vegas. People looking at New York now, it's more about it's less gritty and it's less authentic. A lot of times the corporations have come in and they've replaced the true authentic places, the pizzerias, the place you would go to eat. The little mom and pop shops have been replaced by a lot of corporate shops that you see all across America. 42nd Street has changed. Obviously, it's like Disney World. So a lot of the cities are changing because of, to be more family oriented. And New York is a lot safer because of that. There's a lot of good parts to it, but there's also a lot of, I miss how New York was, man. It was gritty and it was authentic. And the East Village was scrubby, but it was artistic as well. There was something very authentic about that,
And you are true artist, diversified in many crafts. Is that true?
Yeah, I started in music actually in Philadelphia, and I come from a musical family. My uncle and my older brother were musicians, and I followed that path. My father was an agent to a bunch of jazz cats from Philly, and I thought that was my direction until I got a job on a TV show, and I took that money and I bought my first studio gear, and I paid for everyone's rent. But then I kept on doing the acting thing because it was paying, and we were all broke musicians, trying to get a record deal. So I just kept on following where the buck was.
Jazz is my favorite.
Led me to, Yeah, it was jazz, rock. For me, it was soul and it was rock. Really, that's what got me involved.
We used to go to a place. One of the producers, Kevin, that you know on the show, we used to go to a place called Five Oaks, and Billie Holiday's piano player was still there. She was the house player. And
in Philly or in New York?
In New York, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Everybody used to like the Blue Note. I liked it there. A lot of people off Broadway, a lot of jazz musicians come in, jam, keep themselves sharp. And she was a legend, And she used to do RAGGMOPP, rag bop. She was good.
Wow.
And the food was okay. And we spent a lot of time there. So we came across a lot of jazz musicians. They had a lot of soul, a lot of insight. And, I think it's the best music there is. How did you get your start?
There's a theater school in Philadelphia called Freedom Theater. And I think at the time, my Freedom Theater in Philadelphia on Market Street, it was a theater and arts program for youth. And I was about 16. Around that time, I was getting in a lot of trouble in the streets. But I think that my father saw that, and he said, this is the best way to deal with it is put you guys in an expressive school so you can learn how to channel that.
You redirected it.
He redirected it. Yes. And then he ended up becoming on the board of directors. But it changed my trajectory a lot. It changed the direction of where I was putting my energy.
What was the role that put you where you wanted to be?
There was a role that I did with a director named Carl Franklin, and that was really early on in my career. We shot it in Minnesota. And it started to let me know that I had a career, that I could build a career in acting. Of course, what put me on the map was A Different World. And that was Debbie Allen who gave me my first shot on TV. Yeah. But after that, it was, I was kicking around for a long time. I suppose I didn't have a look that was ready for TV. I had dreadlocks at the time, and I was just tall and thin. A lot of these actors that get into game, they have a certain size, height, and
Yeah.
they look a certain way. I just looked like maybe I should be on stage singing a song. But it took me a while kicking around to get the right roles that I felt that I could make a career out of. I didn't always have a main character job. I was always a day player. I would always come in and do a short period, a short arc of roles.
I spent 5 years under house arrest. And at that period of time, I watched a lot of TV, vintage, new, current. You're locked in the house for 5 years waiting to go to trial. If you didn't, you would have spent a long time, very, very long time,
Wow.
As a host of the government. Not the best circumstances. But I found that I watched all of your stuff, and I researched it. I did it. I found that you played each character so diversely and so convincingly. It was terrific. I wasn't a big fan just because it just didn't click with me. It's not a great show, Sex and the City, but the new one with you I like it.
I hadn't taken a lot of time to watch the old ones. I saw a few episodes. It's like a chick flick. The girls were really into it. I didn't want to say it. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I was really happy to do it, especially the shoot in New York. So it was a pleasure to do that, and the cast is all brilliant. Everyone's just full of beauty. I had a great time.
I'll tell you this. Your character on Warrick Brown was so convincing to me. Naturally, I was an illegal bookmaker. I says, wow, maybe if this police department has more of these degenerate gamblers, I'm in trouble here. That definitely, because I've always been able to evade them for a very long time. But I used to look at it from that point of view and get a kick out of it. So I was observing too. And even the technical end of it in the laboratory, I mean, you were convincing.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, Anthony Zuiker, the creator of CSI, his wife actually came up with the idea of CSI, and he was born and raised in Vegas. And he came up with the idea of the character because he wrote it after him. Okay. There was a script that he even did the year or two before CSI was picked up, was about the whole casino life and working in the casinos and the way that casinos are run and the way that he had every job there was to have, working in a casino, in a bar, and working as a car dealer, working as security, so he knew Vegas up and down. And he wrote the character of Warrick Brown, and he named him after Warrick Dunn, the football player. And so for me, a lot of the things that I was researching was talking to guys who were living in Vegas. We used to go out to Vegas to shoot, and talking with Anthony a lot about how he saw the character and how he behaved as well. And that we spent a lot of times before shooting certain scenes about the attitude of a gambler and how they have a certain kind of addiction that everything else falls by the wayside when they're really locked in to a certain bet, and their life can change because they have
almost like the Pied Piper came.
It's almost like the Pied Piper came. Exactly. Yeah. And we also had a lot of coaches around telling us how things worked in the Vegas world, and also a lot of coaches that were real cops and real people in law enforcement that would tell us how to process the crime scene. Yeah.
And you started CSI. Look at how many CSI have spun off from your show, and I thought you were the best character on the show. At least I related to you the best.
Oh man, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we had a good run, and yeah, you're right. There's a lot of shows trying to impersonate the formula that we had. Well, that was one good thing that I think I really appreciated. And I spoke to a lot of directors who were keen on getting and directing a few of the episodes.
Yeah.
is they really dug the chemistry that we had as a cast, and that's not an easy thing to have, you know. And I think that's one of the reasons why it was such a success, is because the chemistry that we had together.
And what you
Yeah,
put in.
we had the science thing too. Yeah, it was what we brought to it together collectively, you know. So it was a good run that we had, or at least that I had with them. I think they're still doing some reboots, as it were, which is great. But there's a lot of imposters out there now. You know, they're
Yeah, a
trying to
lot,
get
lot
that.
of, lot, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd like to mention a couple things and that should be more well known about you. That you're a philanthropist and a humanitarian. I do some of the same things. Could you talk a little bit about that? I mean, you certainly give back. You certainly have soul. You certainly have heart. You have everything that it takes. And what motivates you to do that? I mean, that came from my parents.
Same. I think it's definitely something that my father was doing. My father was an independent businessman and an entrepreneur in Philadelphia, and he employed a lot of people, a lot of ex-cons, a lot of Native Americans. He had a cleaning company,
I'm a con.
and he employed a lot of cats in the street.
Yeah.
Say what?
I said, I'm a con.
And he employed.
Not a pros, but I'm a con.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he employed a lot of guys because it was hard for them to get work. And a lot of people in the neighborhood were very, very loyal to him because he was a good dude and he took care of a lot of families. And that really was my biggest influence, was my father. He was just a good dude, and a lot of people spoke very highly of him. And these days that I had, had a lot of success and a lot of notoriety, but then I had a lot of years where I was just burning and crashing and burning. I started realizing a lot of things that the people, when I would travel around the world, how people were still very, very supportive of me. Most of the organizations I work with now is about the kids, because I recognize that it's easier to teach a kid than to repair a broken man a lot of times, Yeah. And they are our future. And if we can start to influence them in positive ways and have resources for them available worldwide, not just in my block, but around the places that I go, in Haiti, in Spain, in Africa, in Detroit. I mean, there's so much possibilities to change the narrative, because a lot of people in the politics and the government offices, they care about their image. They don't really care about
administrative costs is what they care about.
Exactly. Yeah, they care about their
There's
bottom
no trickle down effect there.
No. And I hear you've been working a lot with teaching these kids craft and trades.
I work with, if you Google Newburgh Armory, a guy by the name of Bill Campbell, a contemporary of my father, put it together. We have 6-year-olds, and, Newburgh's considered a war zone. Obama tried to clean up, pulled out. And there's 40 vocations, most advanced children's library in the world. We have 6 flight simulators there. We got 10-year-olds that can land a jet, a drone, hydroponics, aquaponics, criminal justice, a functioning barber shop. My daughter, who volunteers there, with a young lady that was teacher of the year. We have a functioning emergency room with the baby and the person, with the pulmonary, respiratory, everything. We believe, and it is a concept, that children will go to what they like, and if they like it, they may excel at it. And that's the hope. And if they can earn a living, and, a lot of people are down on immigrants and this and that, we take everybody. There's no busing. You come with your mom. She stays with you. Bill Kaplan shakes the hand of every kid that comes in and looks at his eye when they walk in. It's usually $500 to $600 on a Saturday. They're expanding the program. Never a problem. These kids absorb it like energy. The majority is Black and Hispanic, but we don't turn anybody away. It's whatever class or whatever it is, he does it. Bill's the main guy. I just help out when I can. Phil Howard's on the Board of Education in Newburgh. He's also on the board there. Whatever I can do, I like it. It's fulfilling to see these kids and to be able to be open to certain fields and stuff, to be able to earn a living later on. I think it will save, in my opinion, every inner city. And
absolutely, that's a great.
You and I both know that poverty increases violence. People don't get up to get violent,
Yeah, they don't have resources.
We can channel that negative energy And I hail you. That's one of the reasons I got very excited for the work you do. I mean, I hail you. You have a big fan of me more for that than anything else. The rest
You
is
have a
just
fan of me, bro.
sugar. I've been trying to get the word out there to what they're doing. And when it's done, I think the concept is phenomenal. There's also an indoor soccer field, outdoor soccer field, a very nice basketball court, and it just evolved. And Bill just wanted to give the kids a place to play that was safe. It's the highest per capita in murder and violent crimes and drug dealing in the United States.
Really?
Yeah. He also, when my daughter went to school, because it's close to here, Mount St. Mary's, it was going down to keep it. He financed it. Bill got cancer, and there was no cancer ward in the hospital. He built one for the people and got treated there. I mean, this is the kind of stuff he does. Some of it.
That's a real G move.
Yeah. And,
a real G move.
Yes. I had the privilege to go to some very good schools, and even the school where my son is, I went, Catholic school, and they seem to want to help the cream of the crop more. I always say it's the ones that are in trouble that need the help, So they said, "You want a job?" He says, "Absolutely not. My job is helping. I'm not getting paid." So I'm very strong with that. I live on an estate with my father. We grew up. Had a very, very good 9 years. After that, it was tough till my children were born. It was the greatest day of my life. So, I like to coach sports. I like to give them some life lessons, and I get a real enjoyment out of it. And that's why, and first and foremost, you're definitely hailed as one of the best looking men on the planet. Definitely moving over the time, superstars. You've played across from some of the most beautiful women. But if I had to say, I hail you for the work you do with children, and you have a big fan in me for that. And I think everybody should recognize that that's just something that is a God-given gift. Positive energy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Positive, not a compliment, a fact.
Back at you. I'm a big fan now. Big time.
And people think because you're tough or you're famous or you're good looking or you can have a fight that you don't have that compassion, that warmth, and that love to help people because they categorize you that way. Am I tough? Yeah. But I'm like a marshmallow with kids. It's about...
Let me know how I can be down. Let me know how I can be a part of what you're doing. We are in our mastery years. So these years, I don't like to think that I've done all of this stuff and now I'm just going to retire. I think this is a good time to really just get started on what I really want.
I feel the same way.
Those years that we were bumping and grinding, we were trying to carve out an existence for ourselves and really try to define ourselves and really try to survive, really try our best in those 20s, 30s, and 40s and early 50s to try to figure out exactly how we're going to approach certain things based off of the way things were made. And we are just navigating around the, status quo and try to navigate around the way business is set up. But now that we've figured it out, I think now it's time for us to take it into our own hands and redesign the wheel a bit, So, you live long enough in America, you start to see that. I'm a real big fan of George Carlin, and I like a lot of the stuff that he was saying. Come on, man. He just gets up and he's funny, but he's just throwing truth bombs all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
and he subliminally hits you with laughter.
All the time.
Very intelligence.
Yeah, I think comedians are the secret weapon of the people.
Yes, laughter's medicine for the soul.
We need our George Carlins and our Dave Chappelles to really give us a sense of what is the real is.
I think Lenny Bruce started it all, like that genre.
Yeah, I mean, they were just saying it.
Richard Pryor, George Carlin were my favorites.
But then now you turn on the TV and you just get some kind of play, some kind of script, and some kind of thing about what the news is, what news they're giving you. It's not necessarily authentic and real and true.
Yeah, they've changed the channel. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's a sad world when the news has become the actors and the actors have become the news.
Right.
Right.
I don't watch a lot of TV. I come to visit my mom and my auntie and my brother, and they just watching loads of TV. And I can't get into it. Maybe because I've worked so long in it, I recognize that it doesn't matter what news official, what reporter, what journalist is speaking. I recognize that I see I see
And
the
you know the real
script.
way people are led through TV. I mean, I've been on the other side of it, but there are some enjoyable ones. You were enjoyable.
Uh, oh yeah, I watch movies and I watch every now and then. I catch a few episodes of a series, but the news, I just
I
can't
like
get with
Breaking
it.
Bad. I get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I got a kick out of a few. I have a few friends in that show. I got a kick out of watching them. It's great
Yeah,
scripts. Yeah,
I got a
yeah.
kick out of it. I
But
thought that was good.
I try not to watch too much newscasts, news reports. I
Well,
recognize that I can see the holes in them.
holes in them. Jesus.
Yeah.
Portals of time they distort. If they could go back in time and lie, they would.
So true, right? Yeah, man. And for people that come up to me, did you see what was in the news? Did we have to do blah blah blah? And I go, we don't have to do that. They're just saying that because you have to see what's happening behind the curtain. You know, this Wizard of Oz and he's DJing in the background. You're not watching that because you're watching the news. But there's a whole other thing happening because they put this up there. They're doing this over there. You have to recognize that, you know.
Yes.
That's how they, you know, you got to watch how they play basketball,
Gary,
how they do magic tricks.
Hey, a compliment. This is a real compliment. Your mind works very well. I learned a little bit here today, and a lot too.
I've just been around a long time like you know. We've just been around a long time. That's all that means. You know, like I mentioned, I mean, we didn't come up, you know, my father was successful, but then at a certain age, and when I was a teenager, you know, he lost everything. The taxes hit him and the government hit him hard. And I think even Trump owes him money because he was doing some of those properties out in Atlantic City. He was working, you know, he had a bunch of contracts with him. But we kept it real. Even though we didn't, you know, have a lot to live with, he was always very, very imaginative, and he always kept us rolling. And he never was coming in the house dragging his tail, man.
My mother used to say, "Necessity is the mother of invention."
Necessity is the mother of invention. I say that all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Your mom's a real one.
You know, APOC was on here. He was born in a concentration camp. People don't realize the different, you know, what you take for granted, other people would, you know, whatever for.
That's true. That's true.
And prejudice and even the news and whatever you read and even media doesn't tell the truth. And that's why I liked your show. It was accurate about the degenerate gambler. But even Hollywood on a whole, sometimes they don't portray and people believe a lot what they see and hear. So that's why I was a great fan of your craft. It stays real.
Right.
And it comes true. But I got to tell you, I couldn't be more excited that you were here. I couldn't be more fulfilled that everything that Kevin told me about you, there was even more.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Not a compliment, a fact. And I wish you all there is plus more.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's beautiful speaking to you and back at you. And I'm interested in the program and hopefully my travels, maybe when we're back on tour in October, I can stop by and check out the school and check out the center for the kids that you're working with. I'd love to come by.
I haven't, since COVID, I haven't been there that much. I had to revisit with Lyme. I know what it's like to be blind. I know what it's like to be crippled. I know what it's like to be deaf. I know what it's like to be infirmed. You know, I never saw as clear as when I was blind. I never heard so clearly as when I was deaf. And I never knew how to get around better than when I was infirmed. So I got this thing called my brother. It's neurological Lyme from Lyme disease. We're fighting it. There's no cure, but we'll do the best we can. They gave me 6 months to live in 1998. So me and the Mayan calendar, I got a lot in common.
Wow. You beat the odds.
That's what a bookmaker does. I'm always for the underdog.
Damn right.
I just want to hail you. Thank you. Welcome to Taking Action. Gary Dourdan. He's all that and more. And I got to tell you, if you get the opportunity to speak with him, follow him, whatever it is that you do, I would say he's like me, a prophet for profit. But there's more than one way. There's intrinsic value. Not all profit is money.
Yes, that's true. Bless.
All right.
Take care of yourself. Until next time. Bless.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Okay, welcome back to Taking Action. I'm Chris Colombo. This is Anthony Conover. Anthony's going to join us this week and possibly the future. Anthony's my fact finder, my checker, and my media guy. I like a lot of things what he has to say, and part of this show is educating the younger guys how to handicap, have longevity, and the goal is to win and to X out the games that are traps or that you play with your heart. Nothing wrong with betting small amount of money where your heart is, but what happens is that leads you to lose a game, and then it goes on, and we don't want to have that happen.
Nobody wants the snowball of losing.
Right. Quicksand, it's called.
Yeah.
You think you're trying to get out, and you're getting buried. That's what we don't want to have happen. I didn't let that happen because I capped how much you could play a game based on what your overall limit was. They let you bet as much as you want because you're putting your money up. Okay. Our goal here is to try to educate the gambler and the recreational gambler, because I don't want to see nobody get hurt from gambling. Okay, Anthony, what do we got for Thursday night's game?
All right, Thursday night, we're kicking it off. Minnesota is visiting Philly. Philly is a 7-point favorite.
Okay. Who do you like?
Based off of last year, I know it's a whole new season. I would go with Philly. They beat the piss out of the Vikings last year. Excuse me.
What's that language?
Yeah, excuse me.
You young guys got to learn to stop cursing. And listen to me, just because you beat them last year doesn't mean you're going to beat them this year.
Only thing that scares me, Vikings coming off a home loss to a team that they probably shouldn't have lost to. So it's a little,
What do you mean shouldn't have lost? The team that came to play what?
In the projection.
Listen, I wasn't designed to be born 5'6", but I was.
I thank the Lord for my height.
Okay. Well, the taller you are, the further the brain is from your body in this business. Now, let me tell you my view. Who's home?
The Eagles.
Eagles. So that means they're making a 4-point favorite because you lay 3 from being at home. Eagles is a fine organization, and the Vikings are a good organization. And they play each other tough. As a wise guy, I never, ever like to lay more than a couple of points. And I don't like to lay that. I like to take it. Yeah. And I like to pick the games where I could take it. Remember, they're professional teams, and the team that comes to play is the team that's going to win, the teams that wants it. I put my edge towards the Eagles. I don't count Minnesota out. They're a good organization.
Probably the
very good organization.
Best wide receiver in football with Justin Jefferson. You know, Kirk Cousins is up and down. Very bad record in primetime games, though. I'll say that.
What I'm going to tell you is, and that's what I don't understand, but the rest of the teams, when it's a very different game, handicapping primetime games. Because when you handicap a primetime game, the whole world is watching compared to just a region. So that's why I usually lay towards the underdog. And they always target and they want their 5 to 10 minutes in the sun. And in upsets, people pay attention to those players. There are a lot of good players on the team. As like you saw with the Jets, they came to win. I loved the Jets all week long. It was my pick of the week. Everybody thought it was out the window with Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers was not a factor in me picking it, as you know. And you thought I was crazy.
I did. I will be the first to admit.
And there was no way, no how that you thought that the Browns would win and never look back.
That was impressive. The 24-3.
I told you if you win defense and special teams, you can win. So
right.
Aaron Rodgers wasn't a factor. And what decided that game?
Special teams.
And
defense, of course.
You understand how football works. Special teams is when a team is thick, when they have good special teams and deep, and you have a lot of young guys on there looking for their starting position. We're going to come into play later on talking about the Jets. I got a decision to make. I lean towards the Jets against Dallas if they come to play. That team wants to win. That team has one of the most ferocious defenses I've seen since the Denver won the Super Bowl.
It's unbelievable.
They just don't have faith in their quarterback, and that caused a lot of controversy. Matter of fact, as you told me, they got on a plane wearing a shirt with the backup quarterback's face on it.
Mike White.
Yeah, Mike White. And that's never good for a team. However, he did do what he needed to do to allow that team to win. 10 points is a lot. We'll get to that. As far as the Vikings-Eagles, you like the Eagles. I would not bet that game because they're very good teams. They play each other hard. And 7 points is a lot of points, not at home. Okay. Remember, When you're betting, it's not the team that wins. It's the team that wins by enough to get you paid or lose by less enough to get you paid or win outright if it's an underdog. And teams and players are going to start paying attention to the line even more because they like their fan base. Next game. So I stay away from that game. You like the Eagles.
I don't mind the 7.
I'm not going against you, but I don't lay 7. Go ahead.
Next up, we got the Chargers. They are taking on Tennessee. The Chargers are a 3-point favorite on the road.
Who's at home?
Tennessee.
Okay. I'm leaning towards the Chargers all day long.
I would agree with you on this one. You are more of a Ryan Tannehill fan than I am.
I'm not a fan.
Well, you're not. No.
I am an odds maker.
You have more faith in Ryan Tannehill.
I have no faith in anything but the statistics and who's going to win the game. Where you put your money, try to go to the bank with faith and see what they tell you.
Not much.
Not much. Okay. So as far as faith, the team today that you think that I'm siding with, it's not with my heart, it's with my pocket. I like San Diego. I've always liked them against the spread. I like them better as an underdog. It's not where I would put my money, but I like San Diego.
Yeah, I would go with the Chargers in this one as well. I mean, I wouldn't, I'm not picking it if I had to, but I would like them in this game. Next up, we had Green Bay. They are taking on Atlanta. Atlanta is at home, but Green Bay is a 1.5-point favorite.
I stay away from that game.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this game either.
Stop with the fan stuff.
I'm the fan, though.
Yeah, but you're trying to learn.
That is true.
All right, go ahead. You are a fan, and that's what I'm trying to teach you.
Taught me many lessons, you have.
What?
I said you've taught me many lessons.
Well, you have a future in this.
Next up, we have Indianapolis against Houston. Indianapolis is just a 1-point favorite, so basically
you want to say that's when you could talk as a fan because that's a fan's game. That's not a me game.
Yeah, not too much information for this one. Anthony Richardson, the Colts quarterback's a rookie. CJ Stroud, a rookie for the Texans as well. Both teams kind of in the rebuilding stage. Like you said, I would probably stay away as well.
Well, so you agreed with something.
You know what?
It's hard to go hit your heart. You're all hard, kid. Come on.
Seattle is taking on Detroit. Detroit is at home as a 6-point favorite.
That's not a game I would bet.
I don't like the line so much, but stats.
You're not an expert on the line. Next.
I was going to say, stats-wise, number 1 offense last year, number 3 offense last year, over-under. You could look at that.
Give me if you're so smart, give me the other 13 variables that the NFL sets a line by.
That I cannot tell.
Okay, so stay away from the line.
Chicago at Tampa Bay, -2.5 for Tampa Bay.
Chicago's quarterback showed me a lot in the way he could run and scramble. Against Tampa Bay, he's going to have to run and scramble. That's still a dominant defense in the NFL. Would I bet the game? No. Would I look for that Bears quarterback to scramble? And I think he's a scrambling, shooting quarterback. I think it comes natural to him. I think he's yet to touch upon his talents. I wouldn't bet the game, but I'd look for Chicago to live or die on his moving around. Because when you come to Tampa Bay, you're coming to a defense.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I would like for Chicago to give him some more designed QB runs. They're kind of trying to keep him.
Listen, unless the coach is listening to you next, come on. I would like world peace, but it's not happening anywhere in the near future.
Las Vegas at Buffalo, 9.5 for the Bills.
Las Vegas at Buffalo, 9.5, and the Bills are at home.
Bills are at home.
I got to tell you the truth, I like Las Vegas. Bills is coming off a loss, and they know that loss is because Allen pushed the envelope when he did not have to. I think he's going to come more conservative if he listens to anybody, and he's coming against the team that wants to beat him. They have a lot to prove by losing to the Jets, but they didn't lose by much, but those mistakes made them lose. Jets rose to the occasion. Bills had egg on their face. They're going to come to play. So you're either going to see a blowout or you're going to see it a little tighter than 10 points. But if I had to bet a few dollars, I'm leaning towards Las Vegas. Go ahead.
All right. Next, we have Kansas City at Jacksonville. Kansas City is a 3-point favorite.
Okay. It's not a game I'd bet, but I know this Kansas City Chiefs. I do not see that particular organization losing 2 in a row. Mahomes is one of the quarterbacks that got injured because he is a warrior like Josh Allen, because he never learned how to step out of bounds or he did push bad situations throwing the ball, but he completed a lot of them. He's the only guy I ever seen falling down, throw a guy 40 yards. We're looking between the defender's legs.
No look passes. He tells them in practice for training.
I think you're going to see Kansas City win that game 3 points. I like Kansas City.
I'm very up in the air on this. I think it all depends on Travis Kelce playing. It really does. I don't trust their wide receivers enough without. But, man, I'd stay away. Me.
Well, I'm going to tell you how they look at it. The receivers were where they were supposed to be. Mahomes threw the ball where they had to be.
Certainly did.
All they did was drop the ball. I believe they're working on that all week long. The fact the receivers got where they were supposed to be, that's a rhythm offense. I just don't think they were in the right rhythm. I think that's something you could work on, and I think you're going to see it better this week. I could be wrong.
Well, and it also helped, too, that their defense, Kansas City's defense played well last week, and now Chris Jones is back.
Chris Jones is a deciding factor. You said it was amazing that you saw him in the box when he was holding out. That tells you he was there to support his team, to let them know he wanted them to win. It was a money thing, not an emotional thing. I like Kansas City. Go ahead.
Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 3.5-point favorite.
I wouldn't bet that game.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
Where is Baltimore?
Where
are they?
Maryland?
Oh, where are they? It's Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati, yeah.
So you're saying that the Cincinnati Bengals is only a half-point favorite. They're telling you something's wrong with the line. The odds makers are not dumb. There's things going on there I can't explain, but I would stay away from that game.
I like the Bengals. I like Bengals coming off of an embarrassing loss, and I think that Joe Burrow is going to bounce back.
What is an embarrassing loss?
24-3. He got blown out.
I'd rather get blown out than lose by that 1 point with that thing that falls the wrong way.
I would agree there, too.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, next.
We have the Giants at Arizona. The Giants are 5.5-point favorites.
The only reason I'm staying away from that game is I don't like that line 5.5. However, from a bookmaker's point of view, Arizona is one of the teams that always been put down and always been giving less credit than they deserve. And they always manage to cover when they're underdog, but so mostly lose the game. So from a bettor's point of view, I don't like the game, but if Arizona usually does not lose what they're supposed to.
Yeah, I can agree. I would stay away.
Yes.
San Francisco at the LA Rams. San Francisco is an 8-point favorite.
I'm cheap. I'm going to tell you why. When you handicap, let me ask you something. When you go shopping, right?
Okay.
There's always that thing you want to buy, and there's two of them sitting next to each other. If you can pay $3,000 or $2,500 for the exact same thing, what do you go for?
I'm going with the cheaper option.
I'm cheap with the lines. I'm a wise guy better. I'd rather take it than lay it. 8 points, anything can happen. Teams get ahead. They're looking forward to next week. They're not going to kill themselves. There's situations like that. There's a lot of dictated. I stay away from that many points. Next.
We have the Jets at Dallas. The Cowboys are a 9.5-point favorite. As you said last week, I'm Dallas all day long.
All right. How much money did you earn betting in your life?
Oh, well, you say. I stay away from that. Not much.
All right. How much money did you earn booking?
That would be a 0.
It was guys like you that made me rich.
At least I did something for you.
All right. Yes, you did. But I wouldn't let you bet because you're a young man. That's why I teach you to bet, because I don't want young people's money to be wasted. There's things like education, marriage, children, houses, cars, stuff to get. I don't want to see you lose it. That game is going to be decided, and this is a Jet team that wants to win, and that is a ferocious defense. If I was forced to bet that game, I'd take the points.
I just don't think the Jets are going to be able to score. I think that Dallas might shut them
I
down
think
again.
the defense could score. I think the special teams could score. Jets should at least be able to put 10, 12 points.
You would think so. We thought that the Giants were going to score last week, though. Dallas shut them out 40-0.
I didn't think anything. I just did. What did I think? What do I care if they scored? I care if they cover or they don't. That's what I care about. You could go home, lay in bed, and say I was right that they scored most of my money. I don't care about that. Go ahead.
Miami is at New England, and they are 2.5-point favorites.
Division game. I lean towards guess who?
The Patriots?
Yes.
Now, as you know, I'm a Patriot fan, so I did take your advice. I would stay away from this just because I'm a fan and I want to be able to enjoy. No money on it.
Right. No money you can enjoy because they didn't let you down.
Exactly.
Go ahead. Who else we got?
Monday night. There's 2 games Monday.
I hate when there's 2 games. I hate it.
This week and next week, so you're going to hate it 2 weeks in a row. So.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. I don't like it at all.
New Orleans is at Carolina. New Orleans is a 3-point favorite.
That's a game that I don't even think I'll enjoy or bet.
I would agree with you on that. And finally, we wrap up the weekend. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Cleveland is a 2.5-point favorite.
That's a division game. It's a rivalry. I usually go home team underdog, but I like Cleveland.
I like Cleveland too. They showed me.
I'm screwed now.
I can't be good luck too.
I didn't say luck.
Smart.
All right. You have my picks. Reminding you that possibly outside of the Jets and the Browns last week, I would not have bet. This week, I gave you a handicapping, which way you're going to lean. I don't like the best first 3 weeks of football. The lines are not tight, and it's a gamble. Remember, bet with your head, not over it. Pay attention to the things we say. The things I say will help you in the future. It's logical, it's lucid, and it's proven on the test of time and the test of pocket. This is Chris Colombo, Anthony Conover. I want you to have an enjoyable week. May all the players be healthy. Good luck to Aaron Rodgers, and let's see what happens.